Beasty against DeMu coming in right away.
Yeah, I think we just we go. Ooh!
Oh!
Ooh! It's hot!
The
Oh my
sizzling! I
God!
heard it from over here. Are you fine?
my fingy. All right, game number 1 with Mongols and French. I'm very excited to see Mongols in this one. How is your opinion, or I'm curious on your opinion, Mongols in the current meta?
This is a special one. This is Hill and Dale Mongol. So are we gonna see trade? That's not even a question. It's gonna happen one way or another. But what else are we gonna see? Potential trade from the French, aggression from the French, boom from the French, boom from the Mongol. You boom, I boom, we're both happy. That kind of ordeal could be on the table. That's the option. Are we gonna see pro scouts? Maybe. There's like less deer to pro scout from, since there's always one deer pack safe in each base, but that's an option, not counting it out.
Yeah, I mean, with some of the deer that are outside in the dale, as it were, you might be able to get a couple of those deer carcasses. And for French, it's a little bit cheaper, right? Instead of 275 gold, it's 179 and 49 wood, I believe. So it makes French, you get that tempo a little bit easier. And what's nice is you can probably get like a knight while you're getting pro scouts at the same time, just because you're saving a little bit of that gold, which ends up helping if he does go School of Cavalry. But DeMu, now on Hill and Dale, I'm going to be honest with you, Cracky, this is one of my least favorite maps. If I had to pick my top 3 least favorite maps, Hill and Dale is definitely one of them, because of the lifestyle. When you're on that hill, you got that deer that's close to you, you got every resource, you can just sit on your hill for minutes on end and try to get all of those resources. But if there's a civ, it could have the potential to invade your hill. It might be the Mongols. They get some of their trade going. They're rather an aggressive civ. They can plop a curl tie right in your face, and there ain't nothing you can do about it.
You know what's very interesting? It's been 38. It's been over 2 years since the last time Beasty and DeMu faced off against each other on Hill and Dale. That was during N4C. It's been a while.
Wow. It actually has. That's been a long time. Wow.
It is, yeah.
This might not be, Crackety, this might not be a series that you might appreciate as much, because I'm looking at the bans here in the drafts from these guys. China and Zhu Shi banned on both sides. Thoughts on that?
They're just haters. They're haters, I say. Nah, legitimately, in the current Pro Scout meta, China and Zhu Shi are disgusting.
Right.
Disgusting, mate.
Because, obviously, Pro Scouts is full price, right? But because your ability to not only get up quickly, because you have villagers building your landmark a little bit quicker, but you supervise that Pro Scouts, I think you get it 30 seconds flat or something like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly 30 seconds.
You think that, Delhi getting Pro Scouts, they got to wait 3 minutes. They got to look at a textbook. The only thing an Imperial official needs to do is look at you. And all of a sudden, the Pro Scouts become so much cheaper. Oh my God, those eyes are like daggers, let me tell you. Especially with gathered taxes, no prisoners. Those peasants, man, they're trying. They're trying to get a living, but I don't know how much. It's got to be maybe about 20% of their income goes right back to the man, right? And we're going to go in to game number 1, enough Chinese Zhu Shi talk. This is Beasty versus DeMu. Beasty playing as the Mongols in the color yellow, spawning in the southeastern part of the map. DeMu is his opponent as the French, playing the color purple, northwest spawn. So we talked about Hill and Dale just a little bit, just because of the fact that you can get those deer right next to you, right? DeMu is taking advantage of that. He's getting a mill, he's going up there, and going with survival techniques.
Yeah, but you know what Beasty says? No! No deer. No. Bad.
And these with this con in Dark Age 2, my personal opinion of the con, probably second most annoying unit in the game, first being the king. But that con is going to be able to just give you a bunch of paper cuts, right? So you get that attack notification just drilled into your skull while this thing is just popping you for 2 health over and over again. It's so annoying.
Yeah, and it gets stronger the longer the game goes on. Also, take Beasty right now, he's literally luring the deer in with the gur.
This is crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people talk about Beasty being a great player, blah, blah, blah. I would have never thought about doing this. But I do think just because of the Gur's mobility, might not be able to get them fully into the town center. It looks like he will not be. But that Gur is going to be a nice little hub to make sure he can get all of those. And now with the Mongols, I think this is why it's a good Mongol map too. Your gold is safe, your wood is safe, your Uhu's a little bit forward. And there is a villager and a barracks with some spearmen popping out. It's going to be a Hillendale Tower Rush.
Yeah, Hillendale Tower Rush. I mean, it's a perfect map for Beasty to do this Tower Rush on. Because the deer are forward, the gold is forward. There are so many resources from DeMu that are just forward, frankly put. So this outpost rush is going to get a lot of value. Villager, brave enough as he is going to be the first one to take a look at the base there. And DeMu sees what's coming in. He just needs to be ready for it. Mill gets deleted.
I love that mill got deleted too. No raid bounty, right? For the Mongols, you're not going to get that bonus. So going to be getting a little bit of those deer, but then walking in the opposite direction now. DeMu is going to be the first one up with the School of Cavalry, not going with the Chamber, as some of you in chat would have loved to see, but not going to be the case. Mining Camp gets deleted for DeMu as well, and oh my god, I can't tell you, Crackety, how many times I've been on the French side of this, and it's so annoying.
It's just barely not enough gold to at least get one knight out. One knight would have already just been very, very handy for him, because now you've got this ugly amount of gold in the bank, right? Like 91. What are you going to do with that?
And, you know, this is really good on Hillendale too, Crackety, because you only get one safe gold. And if you're looking out there on the mini-map on the lower right-hand portion of your screen, where is the next gold he's going to go to? There's a couple in the middle that the tower is going to see. This north gold is probably the only one. So his intent now for DeMu for the next couple minutes of the game, or at least for the foreseeable future, he's going to have to work on taking down this outpost. He's starting to queue some horsemen, which might be able to help him out. More spearmen coming in from Beasty. But at the same time, while he's doing all of this, Beasty, right? He's got his 5 spearmen. He's going to put him into the outpost. Now he's going to get up to feudal age. They're going to be so focused on the outpost and this one on the wood line on the bottom side. Maybe he could do something like trade behind it, rather uncontested.
Ooh, Horseman does spot out the outpost that is currently trying to go up. Something in theory that you could do right now as DeMu. There's only 3 spearmen inside of that outpost, and it doesn't have arrow slits. It means that now or never, now is like the best time to go for a village pull, and it looks like he is going to do just that. Not on the outpost that is already up, but instead on the outpost that is currently being constructed. So Beasty, he's going to have to cancel it. That's going to be a lot of idle time, though, for DeMu, pulling the villagers over. And Beasty, I mean, he can just turn around and put it somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with this, Crackety, is you just pulled 7 or 8 villagers to go walk all the way around this wood line to try to stop that from happening. And all he does is delete it and gets his wood back absolutely for free, which is crazy. So having those spearmen around, just making sure that villager stays alive. Now, if you're trying to defend against a tower push, Crackety, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The goal is that villager is the only one to build the outpost. So if you take down the villager, you take down the tower rush.
Yeah, looks like we are going to see an archer come in. Maybe if villagers get pulled as well. There is a timing window here for DeMu to deny the outpost, and it looks like it might be coming true. Villagers have to be very, very careful. More villagers getting pulled as well for the other outpost. And he's going to burn both of them down. Beasty has to evacuate the entire fort position, getting thwarted by the villager pull. Potentially? Yeah, there it is. It's all going to go burned down.
But, you know, Crackety, do you see the problem with this, right? He's pulled all of these villagers to torch them down. One villager goes down. That's the first worker kill for Beasty. If you're Beasty, you see what just happened, you're like, yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty effective. I think that one worked. Yeah, a tower went down, right? One got deleted, but you just caused the entire French province over here on this hill to pull their torches out instead of gathering resources. So what does that mean? Beasty now has the potential to do just about whatever he wants. He was hanging out. So now he's going to get a stable by that Uvu, get 2 times Keshiks because you have the resources for it, and DeMu's on the back foot, basically, until proven otherwise.
Yeah, but he is the French, so even losing 2 villagers, he's still 2 villagers ahead right now. I also believe... No, okay, the villager from Beasty did manage to sneak out, building the outpost. And yeah, I mean, DeMu now has control over gold again, so he's able to get knights out, able to deal with the Keshiks like that. He's got enough wood for an outpost on his gold, on his deer as well. He's looking fine now with this.
I think it's kind of all about that timing, though, Crackety. You know, I mean, DeMu, obviously in a perfect world, he probably would want maybe about 4 knights out already. You know, in the 7-minute mark. Takes about 28 seconds out of the school cavalry to pump out a royal knight. So you kind of want to continuously have that knight production. Didn't have the ability to. So now with Beasty, he gets that 2 times production to even stimulate further his military lead. Obviously, he's going to have the Khan helping him out. And he's still going in on some of these towers. He's going to continue to be aggressive this game.
Ooh, knight on Keshik Clash here. Archer's trying to help out. Keshik numbers, though, it's gonna make it very tough for them to get effective engagements on, but one of the Keshiks very low on HP now. It's getting targeted down. Second knight now coming in, but it looks like another villager from DeMu is gonna get sniped down. More Keshiks coming in too. Oh, this is difficult. DeMu, he really wants to hold this position right now. Double knight. And a Keshik goes down. Okay, now it's looking good for DeMu again. Now he should be able to hold and stabilize here. Get those walls off. Be in a fine position. Yeah, outpost has to get cancelled here.
I think DeMu and Beasty both realize how important that part of the map is for DeMu, right? Because you have those deer there, which is going to be helpful for food. You have that gold mine right there. So Beasty trying to do everything he can to delay that. And DeMu puts the wall up, which is just great, trying to make sure that you don't get any kind of problems, any kind of raiding potential over there. You got to take down a 1,250 hit point building to make sure you can interact with your opponent.
Yeah, behind all of this, though, outpost still sneaky behind the wood line. He's getting put up, and that means that Beasty is going to get that Yarn Aura movement speed on all of his units inside of DeMu's space. That is just worth an absolute ton here. DeMu, it doesn't look like he knows about that second outpost coming up again. Rather, we're probably at number 4 or 5 now. The 5th outpost coming up. There's so many blueprints here.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just remnants of outposts that were just thoughts at that point. It didn't end up going up. Now, Beasty does have the potential, now that he has that one outpost, right? He has the potential to creep a little bit further with his outpost, and that's exactly what he's doing. Look at how annoying he's being, dude, with the French player. Just towers all the time. You're up the hill. You're dealing with all this stuff. Beasty has a military lead and continues to, even with army value, with DeMu having those knights and how much army value they have, Beasty's still clearly a front runner.
Yeah, the double Keshiks just being really valuable here. DeMu now on double stable, though. Should be able to catch up in that regard, and knights at the end of the day still provide a good bit more value than those Keshiks. A lot more damage, a good chunk of more HP. Ooh, brace, though, on the knight. That's a lot of damage coming in there. DeMu has to be so careful here. Don't have any blacksmith upgrades on these archers at the moment from DeMu. Upgrade is going to be coming in first for Beasty. That's a lot of knights. But you can tell just how much of a difference the movement speed makes here. Just the archers being able to just move back so quickly as well.
Yep, you can go in and engage and then kind of run back, kite back to your outpost for a little bit of engage as well. DeMu with excellent micro with those knights, making sure they stay alive. When he does get chivalry, if he hasn't already, they'll be able to heal up for full, so it's like getting a free knight out of it. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time for him to do that, but Beasty getting arrow slits on all of his forward outposts. He does have Steeled Arrow, like you mentioned, chivalry coming in for DeMu, and Beasty's going to be getting Iron Undermesh as well. But that Steeled Arrow, with the Khan Hunter that's here, adding that little bit of range, might help him shoot over the wall at those villagers. That's exactly what ends up doing. Another one goes down. DeMu trying to get a charge through that palisade wall because you cannot go through it even when the gate is open. He's trying to use defenses to his strategy.
Yeah, Beasty just being incredibly oppressive here onto DeMu's base. Knights that DeMu has a lot of, as you mentioned, like, they're gonna need a while. Chivalry needs to come in, which did, but now they're gonna take a while in order to heal up. Looks like there's an outpost coming up on the far western side from DeMu space as well.
Oh my god, this
and
is
the
so annoying.
Falcon.
I'm getting so tilted just watching this. Beasty's playing Mongols exactly the way that he is supposed to play them. Uses the Falcon so the outpost has vision to take down one villager, and using the Khan's Hunter, making sure that the archers can shoot over it as well, because you just need a little bit of vision to deal with that. Now that palisade on the eastern side looks like it might go down, and DeMu's might have to take a fight when he necessarily doesn't want to.
Yeah, Beasty even just letting it burn down. Means his army doesn't need to be there for the final moments, and could have even baited DeMu into sending a villager out to try and repair that, which then could have been sniped by the archers. Yeah, another outpost just going up there. Beasty's just constricting the food access now for DeMu. Where's DeMu gonna get food off now? Beasty moved out to the deer on his corner. He's gonna be swimming in food.
And that's kind of the problem, right? With the Mongolian outposts and having them in all of these different areas. If your opponent goes off of your hill, you're going to know exactly where they go, and you're going to be able to figure it out. So putting those outposts rather strategically on that side is going to be very useful. Falcon, Screech, Herd by thousands right on that mill, just to make sure he has an idea of what to do. Size it up. Just to make sure you might be able to take that. And here's the charge, Crackety. We're taking this fight.
DeMu, good micro, focuses down all the spearmen. Now with the spearman gun though, what targets are remaining? Keshiks are, but they're armored. Archer is doing a good job of reducing the archer count from DeMu as well. Knights now jumping out of the TC. They healed up a good amount through chivalry. Suddenly a lot more knights coming in, and DeMu able to take a great fight here. Beasty running back to the outposts.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to garrison just about all of those archers in there, trying to get them in the outpost just so they're safe. You got enough room for 10. 8 end up getting in there, and archer fire will be peppering those Keshiks, but you're seeing the value and the strength of those Royal Knights compared to what a Keshik is, right? These Keshiks are more so, yeah, I get that they're heavy. They get hit with another charge and taken down again.
Great
DeMu
trade.
now might be able to see the light here.
Yeah, DeMu just took an amazing trade for him, and that's just the value that you get with chivalry, right? Like 4 knights basically coming in again there for pretty much free, and now these archers, they're tuna in a tin can. I'm not sure if that's a saying, but I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, because
They're not going anywhere.
I don't care what the hell that can is made of. They're dead. Okay? They're absolutely dead. Getting cleaned up. That second outpost might end up cleaning out. And this was a point where, oh my god, DeMu. Everybody's just so pissed off in this game. Villagers making sure that they're able to get a little bit safe, get to that berry bush over there on the western side. Heads up play by Beasty, putting an outpost there, but he doesn't have the army to deal, right? And that outpost will get cleaned up. Now Beasty might be thinking about trying to get a little defensive himself. I mean, granted, he's going for a lot of military units, Crackety, but if DeMu has the presence of mind, he might just be able to push out. Now he's breathing.
Yeah, it's more than just breathing. Right now he's filtering clean, fresh air through, well, what's he filtering them through? You're the doctor, Tim.
Yeah, there's cilia that line the trachea, and a lot of those hairs will end up
exactly
helping
that.
you getting rid of those mucus. So definitely, he's got cilia over every microscopic millimeter of that trachea.
And it's showing, dude. It's showing.
Look at the cilia on that guy. Unbelievable. And Demu's gonna be trying to push this initiative. You know, a little bit of offense, right? So now that he's got a little bit of this map control, I was scared for DeMu, Crackety, because I was thinking he was gonna have to make like farms or something. And for French this early in the game, that's devastating.
It is. So DeMu, he's looking very good right now. We don't have any trade at the moment in for Beasty, so he doesn't really have scaling his economy. So DeMu, just by playing, he lost a good amount of villagers, 6 villagers that went down. He still has a villager lead, though.
Yeah, that's the power of the French town center, right? Mongols popping every villager out 20 seconds. French, a little bit more fertile, especially in feudal age, going to be 17 seconds to get one of those villagers out. So it helps you shore up a little bit if you do lose a couple villagers, but just because of how expensive those French military units are, specifically the Royal Knights, you need a couple of those extra villagers to kind of help you out. But both sides are showing no slowing down. A little bit of Knight coming out from DeMu, but he's hoarding a little bit of resources. I think if DeMu has the presence of mind, he should know that he's probably ahead in this one. After cleaning up that army, he might be thinking about castle.
Yeah, Beasty behind this. He's continuously reinvesting into units. DeMu, in the meantime, he's reinvesting moderately. He keeps his options open. Might be going for an age up, might not be. Has to be careful though that he doesn't get like completely surrounded here.
Yeah, and those Knights are gonna have to back up in the opposite direction. Now, I think that Beasty did a good job at changing army composition. Obviously, you see a lot of those Knights and those Keshiks pound for pound. Ain't gonna do it, you know? So I was kind of hoping Beasty had a little bit more spearmen in that last engagement that was there. Rather offensive engagement, but not gonna be the case. Now DeMu's starting to breathe out just a little bit, trying to get those berries, but Beasty's got something to say about it with a little bit of a Keshik raid. And that's the best way to use Keshiks, don't you think, Crackety? Just get in there and start taking down some bills.
Yeah, 100%, especially when you're able to use the offensive Deerstone. So he's going to be able to get that Yam Aura movement speed at the front side. Beasty right now, he's leaning fully into Keshik and Spearman as a composition here for him. DeMu, what's his options right now? Oh my god. Something happened inside of Demu's base that could be very bad for him. He's run out of gold.
Uh-oh. Yeah, this is probably about the time. It's that time where he might run out. He's got a decent amount of food. You can see that he was looking for some kind of consistent Knight production into a Castle Age. With that gold running out at a rather unopportune time, that is not the case. And now DeMu's starting to add a little bit of Spearmen, which is going to be really helpful in this engagement, and starting to add a little bit of Horsemen. And I think the reason why is because he just doesn't have gold.
Yeah, 100%. Looks like DeMu, he wants to play this out a little bit longer in Feudal Age, isn't moving out at all at the moment yet to any of these golds. Beasty, however, he did move out DeMu. He might be able to find the gold villagers there. You see, he's pre-moving them. He is pre-moving them. On the minimap. Pre-moving them back as well.
Yeah, and I mean, this is both the times where it ends up running out. But the Royal Knights get a little bit of mobility, so they get just a little bit more charge. Again, that +3 that you get for each attack for 3 seconds after you charge proves to be pretty devastating for some of those Keshiks. I don't think any Knights went down in that battle,
None
but
yet.
a couple
Some are
Keshiks
very
did.
weak. Now DeMu's moving out with a big army. Once again, idle time cost on the goal. If you look at the food, Beasty, he wants the age up. He needs the age up. He breathes for the age up. Can he get it in, though?
Yeah, I mean, if you could do something like
200 food.
it's so crazy, you know. And he has a decent amount of villagers on the right things. Like, he's on deer. I think there's some villagers on the boar as well. Deerstone's just hanging out. They'll be used when they're ready. Bunch of outposts going over here, but DeMu knows this is the time and this is the point where you want to attack Beasty. He's sending everybody to try to stop that gold production.
Age up. He's gonna be coming in shortly. Step Rid out. Where is it gonna be coming in? Oh, this could be devastating. At the right time, at the right moment. No, Step Rid out is coming in inside the base of Beasty. So not somewhere where DeMu can immediately damage to. Knights frontlining, maybe a little bit too long, but the archers are doing a great job there, and military count is going down rapidly. DeMu still pumping a lot of spearmen behind this, and there's a lot of villagers here right for the taking. Beasty's evacuating the villagers. That means he's going to be completely out of gold with the... He's got 0 gold.
All that work that Beasty did with the outposts in front and all of that kind of stuff to deal with, you know, kill some French villagers. Now all of a sudden the worker kill count is almost tied, 7-6. Step Readout does get completed. I think he had 40 villagers on that once upon a time. And he's going to be looking for a gold mine to kind of take, because Crackety, yeah, he went Castle Age. That's fantastic. You know, good for him. But he doesn't have gold to get any upgrades.
Market coming
so he
up.
still has a bunch of feudal units. He's got to, yeah, he's got to trade out of the market.
DeMu, he still has a lot of knights. Could be going for his own age up. Could be seeing a Royal Institute play here. Coming in from DeMu. We should also have the first couple of farms. Well, not just a couple, first bunch of farms. Agriculture being capitalized here for DeMu.
Yeah, it looks like you might have a little bit of time to get that farm transition. Deer stones affixed right in the middle of the dale for that little bit of mobility, but that is not going to be long for this world. Beasty is offering that up as tribute and maybe a contract to kind of hang on and don't get rushed for the next 3 or 4 minutes while he gets his upgrades. He does get veteran, most likely horse or Keshiks, I should say. Those are going to be veteran Keshiks. And then Spearman will be soon to follow. And then this is when Beasty wants to take a fight because he's got that tech superiority.
Yeah. Deer Stone's more like Deer Stone because they're in the past, but now Keshik raid coming in. Villagers from DeMu are going to have to evacuate. Only one went down. Keshiks are still in the run. They do have the veterancy status though. So good amount of HP now. They should be somewhat able to take better fights now against the Knights. Still not something that you want to do when there's also 26 Spearmen in there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, though. At least they're going to be relatively close, right? I mean, a Feudal Age Keshik against a Feudal Age Knight is terrible, but a Castle Age Keshik against a Feudal Age Knight might be somewhat comparable and make the front line that Beasty might want. He's adding Men-at-Arms as well to try to help with some of the Spearmen that are there, kind of tank some of these archers. He's wedging his rivets also for that second ranged armor upgrade, so you can see how many archers DeMu has. He's on about 40, and now he's going up with that Royal Institute. People are looking, when they're playing French, they're not trying to play the long game. They're trying to end this.
Ooh, small little military force from DeMu getting caught out, but Keshiks, they can't stay for too long. They can stay for pie, but they can't stay for dinner. Now Age Up just finished.
He just hit the Castle Age, and now Beasty has a little bit of gold that's stabilized, right? And I don't think DeMu knows exactly where that gold is. He's thinking that he still has some gold mines down the south side, but DeMu is trying to get these upgrades, and he wants to wait to take a fight until he starts getting the Veteran Royal Knights almost completed, and those Veteran Archers will look to get completed as well with those Spearmen. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Let's see if Beasty can push that initiative.
Yeah, it feels pretty rough for him at the moment, because honestly, like, Men-at-Arms, you put them up against Veteran Royal Knights, and by the way, look at the upgrades in queue. It's all the veterancy upgrades, and Royal Bloodlines, and +2 Pierce Armor. Where did DeMu get... He must have a market, right? Like, DeMu must have sold stuff in order to get the gold for it. He did not have that much gold when he aged up.
Oh yeah, it takes it, and that's the thing with French. If you're going with Royal Institute, you got to remember Royal Bloodlines. It is discounted, but it's 490 gold. There's that market crackety that you Oh, you're so good at this, dude. Going up with some of that gold because you need all of those veteran upgrades. You need blacksmith upgrades. You need bloodlines. That's so expensive. So yeah, you should probably be sitting on about 1,000 gold if you're gonna want to get everything that you need. Now it is getting completed. Beasty looks like he's trying to get some raids on that gold. He knows how important that is for the French. It doesn't want to take that full-scale engagement yet. It's actually starting to add some siege, Crackety. There's a couple mangonels in the queue.
Mangonels in queue. Relics now also being gathered up by Beasty. He's kind of leaving something important behind. Space.
Yeah, that base is definitely something that DeMu is looking for. He's got 91 military units, all of them upgraded with the upgrades that he wants. So he is going to ship it. That Uvu has been depleted some time ago, but those buildings might not be long for this world. And Beasty looking like he wants to creep out just a little bit. There's a couple knights here, those pseudo-imperial ones, and it's all about protecting that mango to kind of get some dicey archer shots. Just because of the fact that siege exists, good hit on some of those archers, it might make DeMu back up until he has siege of his own.
Yeah, indeed. We got a small little raid there. Single Keshik. We had some... Looks like there was a jail cell being put up for them. For the villagers, so he's able to quickly save villagers behind another layer of walls. Oh, this next fight, yeah, there's more and more mangonels coming in. This could be dangerous. Mangonels in position, not getting the best shot there. Spread out army formation. No, what is Demo doing? The formation spread pushes the unit into the wrong direction. Now looks like there might be a fight about to happen now. Demu spreading out his units. Now he's pushing for the fight. Royal Bloodlines is in. These knights are tanky. Some knights running around, might be going for the Mangonel. Spearman there to protect, but the Mangonel goes down. Two more spearmen, two more knights, try to go for the Mangonel. And the front line from Beasty, it's completely getting eviscerated. There's nothing left. The Mag just doesn't pay off quickly. Another round, another Mangonel going down. And the military force from Beasty, it just doesn't exist anymore.
Unbelievable. Yeah, there's enough spearmen here. They're going to end up getting cleaned up. Beasty had some crossbowmen. Not going to do that bonus damage against the spearmen, though. A resounding military lead for DeMu right now, 55-18. Beasty is continuing with some of those Mangonels. DeMu adding in some Arbaletre, just a couple of them to deal with those men-at-arms. But I'm telling you, we're watching this, Crackety. Those Castle Age Mangonels, they don't do what they used to. He's going to get a nice little shot here. Look at that. Maybe 4 archers end up getting at half health, and you just paid 600 resources for that. It's devastating.
Yeah, villagers now getting sniped as well. Behind all of this, archers definitely finding their value. Is Beasty stabilizing though? We're getting a couple of additional Springald emplacements in. Damn, I mean, he's not on the guild hall, right? So the faster this game finishes, the better it is for him. But he definitely just did a lot of damage to Beasty.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's what the Royal Institute is designed to do, right? You get those Royal Bloodlines, so those Royal Knights have 310 health, and then you can really push the initiative and do some kind of damage. Royal Institute kind of reminds me of things like Burgrave, things like Farimba of Seasons Old, of the Malians, where it's about tempo. You know, you're going to use that and get that huge tempo swing with the technologies that you get out of it. And because of that, DeMu's out there with a military lead, with an economy lead. He's going to continue to raid on those Mongolian outposts with the Springald emplacements, but they could take a decent amount of Springald hits just because of how much health they have. This is not only stopping Beasty's goal, maybe trying to take down some of those villagers, but you've got all these villagers on the step redoubt that are continued to be idled.
Yeah, and every villager on the step redoubt is worth more like 1.5, getting 50% more gold income through that. Looks like the Springalds did do their job, though. DeMu might need some of his spearman reinforcements as well there if he really wants to get rid of them. Beasty's economy right now, it's not looking good.
And I think that's the problem. You know, Cracky, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but usually we see Mongols, with all that aggression that he had, we usually see Mongols trading behind this. Mongols don't have any traders right now. On a map like Hill and Dale, you would think they would.
Yeah, 100%. Trade, so important here to buffer out your economy. The Mongols, they get so many bonuses onto trade. 15% more movement speed, 30% more resources, overall a certain amount of them. It just makes Mongols one of the best trading civilizations in the game. And that's not happening here. Beasty, though, he's hunkering down on this one. 4 Mangonels out again. DeMu is adding in a lot of knights, but there's spearmen and crossbow behind this. So, in theory, Beasty, he has the answers against everything that DeMu has out on the field, namely against the archers, against the knights, against the spearmen, against the Arbaletria. Is it going to be enough? It's all about the military mass, and DeMu, he right now has a very, very good mass. The question is, how's the engagement going to go? Knights frontlining. Where are the archers? Oh, they're coming from the bottom side. Archers from the left-hand side.
Oh my god, it's so sneaky, we didn't even see him! Mangonels are going to be able to get some nice, chunky hits.
Didn't see it either. I think DeMu didn't see it either.
Yeah, I don't know if he did. That could have been some knights that we probably, or some archers, I should say, that we probably could have had on the back line here. Mangonels. Oh, a little sneaky shot. My god, that annoys me every time I play this game. If your head is not on a swivel, you can get those rocks right in your face, and some of those end up going down. But Beasty's gold is continuing to be ravaged. All of these villagers are going down that step redoubt. Don't get me wrong, that step redoubt's a great landmark, but if you don't got anybody dropping off anything, it's not doing anything.
Yeah, based on observation, I cannot recommend rocks to the face. Doesn't look like a great combination there.
Yeah, that's a trip to the emergency room if I ever saw one. And hopefully with those Mangonels, DeMu's going to have to pay a little bit more attention to make sure. But look at this economic lead that DeMu has. Don't get me wrong, it's a Castle Age French, so those villagers are coming up really quickly, but the amount of economic damage that he did is proving to be devastating to Beasty, especially with no trade. 62 economic count. He's relying on his pastures for food. He's going out to try to get some of this gold from step redoubt, but you can see that he's lagging a little behind.
Yeah, it's not just that. Behind this, DeMu did add in a second TC, so this lead, it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And now seeing DeMu also tap into some mangonels, so it's a little bit of a fight fire with fire situation here. The keep already at the front side.
Oh my. And look, this mangonel's coming too. Oh man, you think those villagers are so
That's
important?
a freebie.
If DeMu sees that mangonel.
And he does. I'm not quite able to pick it off. Oh, that's 3 knights down.
Yeah, ended up getting saved on that one. And I thought those Royal Bloodlines Knights would have had enough HP, enough tankiness to try to get in there and take him down, but not really so much. DeMu is continuing just to find raids, whether it's Knights, whether it's foot soldiers. He's just trying to do some economic damage. He's not trying to take anything straight up right now.
Yeah, but I think he might need to do so soon because Beasty, he suddenly started taking the military lead. Just a couple too many units thrown away, and if there's like one really bad fight coming in, there's still a way for Beasty back into this game. It doesn't look like it because we look at the military numbers, it's... Yep, it's a thing. You look at the economy, oh, that's a way back into it.
But there's 4 mangonels, there's nothing around. Nothing's helping them. 5 mangonels.
Oh, no,
and 1 tower, that's it.
The units, they're sitting behind, yeah, they're just, yeah, you, mangonels, you do your thing.
I got baited.
We'll help you if you need it.
Thank you.
Oh man, the sprinkler placements in the base of Beasty really doing their work here.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the stuff like what Beasty is doing. He was doing a lot of stuff to try to slow this game down a little bit, you know? Those mangonels having siege superiority is going to help you slow the game down. Getting sprinkled outposts, getting your rocks off on some of those villagers, obviously going to slow that game down. Looks like they're looking. Up. I think Textiles might have saved a couple villager lives, but that was a good devastating shot.
That was a landslide worth of rocks.
Absolutely. DeMu's getting really annoying with this raiding party over there on the eastern side. You know what the crazy thing is, too? With those Arbaletre having Gambesons, right? He had a bunch of spearmen over there. He's got, like, some men-at-arms. The only thing that's really going to take these down are sprinkled upgrades. That +5 melee armor makes it so crazy.
This army right now, it's incredibly cost-effective for Beasty. At least when it comes to the gold, right? Like, crossbows don't really cost a lot of gold, and arms don't really cost a lot, and you always have those spearmen as well to buffer up. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, the mangonel. Oh, my...
yeah, that's a lot of dead bodies right there.
Yep, that is a lot. Maybe we're going to see a replay, a little deja vu that I'm feeling. These mangonels might not be long for this world. Get a couple of them, DeMu.
Reinforcements coming in. They can't quite connect. One goes down. The other survived, though. Other one goes down. Still 4 remaining. Oh, this is, I don't know. This is so hard to call. One side has double the mangonels and good shots coming in. Multiple great shots coming in. But once again, trying to go for the surround, and the mangoes from DeMu going down.
Yeah, and even DeMu, look at the change in his army composition, Crackety, because he's got some Royal Knights there. We talked about them over and over again, but he's got some horsemen in there too, right? They're not going to get that
as well.
Yep, absolutely. And then those mangonels, there's nothing left to body block them anymore.
He doesn't have the gold to remass them. Oh, this should be over now, right? Like, how do you remass that? And GG gets called. DeMu opening it up with the victory here in what was an amazing first game of what is an amazing set right now that we got ahead of ourselves.
Dude, I have no idea. That was crazy. DeMu, and this game number 1 is living up to the hype that we're giving this series. DeMu taking the 1-0 lead. You can look at the wonderful graphs that have been orchestrated by a wonderful back end. And look at those resources. DeMu, just because he had all of those villagers, right? and be able to get even more and more resources. Step Redoubt couldn't help him. There wasn't any trade, right, for Beasty, so that gold ended up being somewhat even. What a wild display this game number 1.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it was absolutely crazy. Like that beginning here, we can see it in the replay. This positioning for DeMu space, it was so devastating, right? Like the outpost just putting so much pressure on him here. But then the wild villager pull, able to get rid of them, able to breathe again. And then the knights, they just kept going. They just kept going. We had a lot of them here at the front line. Suddenly, the reinforcements from the TC, Chivalry, well, not fully, but like healed them up for the most part. And that was the reinforcing army that DeMu needed. That was the turnaround when he managed to put Beasty on the back foot, able to destroy the army. Here as well, great timing, putting damage on Beasty right when the castle age was about to hit. No gold left for Beasty at that time as well. So he really desperately fought for that gold access. They were just having so minutes there. There were so many points here where DeMu probably shouldn't have gotten as much value as he did, but he managed to take the engagements in the best way that he could have. And just like that, bit by bit, fight after fight, able to take the lead. And even with that hard start and the mango shots there, able to take the victory.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy because you could see some of these mangonel shots coming in here from the Mongolians, from Beasty. Those, we alluded to it a little bit before, but those Castle Age mangoes, they just don't have that same strength that they used to. But those villagers might be disagreeing with me as all of them end up going down. Looks like about 4 or 5, a nice family of French serfs end up hitting the ground. But DeMu had so many, he did not care about that. Good body block on those mangonels, but for Beasty, it was not enough. Game number 1 going to DeMu. Game number 2 on Cliffside. We're showing no signs of slowing down. I don't even have time to talk to Crackety about the matchup. I guess we'll just talk, while this is going on. Beasty versus DeMu. Game number 2, HRE versus English on Cliffside. Crackety, do you like Cliffside? That's my question.
Tim, I'm gonna be honest. It depends on what I find.
True.
If I don't find enough, I'm gonna be very mad.
Yeah, if you don't end up getting enough of them, obviously, especially, I want to say from Beasty's perspective too, right? Getting a lot of sheep as the HRE, getting a lot of sheep is very important. It's going to make sure that you're around the Aachen Chapel, right? It's going to make sure that you have the ability to continuously get that food for all of those heavy food units that you want, things like horsemen and that kind of stuff. But when we're talking about economies, especially on Cliffside, because you're spotting very close to your opponent, Crackety, I never am going to sleep on the HRE feudal age economy with that Aachen Chapel.
Yeah, being able to pump out a ton of units, that is something that you like on an aggressive map like this. That is where it really shines. And even on a map like this, where distance is close, you can still make great use of lotus movement speed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And what's nice with the English, though, when you're talking about that movement speed, they don't have as much movement to go, right? So if the English wants to do some kind of council hall thing, obviously that's a lot of tempo, and maybe you can kind of steamroll from there, set the tone, and kind of move it up. Maybe that's an idea for DeMu. You also have the potential, like the typical English, Abbey of the Kings with villagers on stone, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the route for DeMu. I don't see any villagers on stone or the like. So it looks like he's just going up normally with the council hall. You can see it just plop down at exactly the same time as the Aachen Chapel has. And BC's Aachen spot, you got to like this. You got some gold. You got some of those sheep. You got a wood line back there. I think that's just about everything you need.
Yeah, and granted you don't have the deer in range, but that's something that is easily fixable in the current meta.
Yeah, I think so too. With the ability to get those professional scouts. And plus, DeMu going with the council hall means he's probably going to be trying to get longbowmen. One thing about longbowmen, we talked about mobility over and over again on this map, on Cliffside. They just don't have it. They don't have that movement speed. So if Beasty does want to do something in the realm of professional scouts, he obviously has the ability to. Or if he wants to use an amateur scout and push all of those deer, you could do that too. It looks like this council hall is going to be completed at just about the same time as the Aachen Chapel does, and I think it's going to be really important, Crackety, for these first 3 or 4 longbowmen. Are they going to be able to set the tone of the game?
I mean, longbows, they can put an amazing amount of pressure on you. And especially with the way the Aachen is positioned, you can just loom around the wood line and try and pick off villagers there.
Yeah, you definitely can. I mean, with DeMu scouting around this area, obviously he scouted where some of the resources of the HRE are. He's got to figure out where the best place is, but I'll tell you, Beasty's got a pretty good spawn with this wood line in the back. Now that Aachen Chapel is completed, with that prelate shouting his prayers within a 6-tile radius, that gold also in the back as well. So DeMu's looking for some kind of feudal age. He's looking for some push, because we talked about pro scouts over and over again. This might not give Beasty the ability to get that efficacious pro scouts that we've been seeing.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, Beasty was aiming for pro scouts. Now has to pivot instead into wheelbarrow, just to make use of the gold that he's gathered up so far, because it is very clear right now that pro scouts will not work. It's going to get immediately punished down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he does have one deer pack that's relatively safe that we talked about on the southwestern side, but every one of the other deer packs is definitely in DeMu's wheelhouse. So maybe that's not that advantageous of a spawn for him. But first longbow, going to be able to do some damage towards that archer, and DeMu is going to quickly start to pile up that count. The thing of it is, even though the council hall works and produces longbowmen very quickly, HRE's wood economy, I think we're going to see more HRE archers than we are English longbows.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of the HRE, right? Like, you're just able to produce so many units so rapidly. Now, you still have the bonus range for the longbows, but the bonus movement speed on the HRE. Like, if you're ever out of position, you better pray.
Yeah, and that's the most devastating thing about the HRE that I think people should be talking about more. Their ability to be as quick as they are, right? Especially with those longbowmen that aren't so quick. If you get them in a good spot, just like right now, you might be able to take them down one at a time. One archer goes down on both sides. Spearman is probably going to go down for DeMu. I think DeMu was expecting maybe a horseman or two. Not going to happen. Beasty's just going to meet him in that ranged infantry count.
Indeed, villagers are going to have to get evacuated, at least a little bit. Move to the side. Looks like we got a first civilian. Beasty loses a villager there in the wood line. Longbows coming in.
And we did kind of expect that, you know, because of that wood line being back there. But the thing is, with DeMu having those longbowmen, you see the area that he's keeping them. He's not going all the way back into the base. He's not trying to take down the gold or anything like that. So he knows that he might be able to escape if he gets those longbowmen in harm's way. So we'll see if he has the ability to do that. So those HRE archers coming in, no blacksmith upgrades on both sides because they're just going heavy onto that wood for archers. They don't want to spend that 150 for a blacksmith.
It looks like DeMu just barely had enough longbows there in order to be able to take this fight against the archers, but it's still so difficult because there are so many more archers in queue from Beasty, and he's just producing a lot here throughout the entire time. And eventually, like, DeMu with the English, he's not going to be able to keep up this forever.
No, I really don't think he's going to have the ability to. But English can get very sneaky in their ability to go up to Castle Age if that happens to be the case, just because of those farms, right? You're going on these longbowmen that are only 40 food apiece. It's not like you're making horsemen or anything of the sort. Beasty trying to take down some of these reinforcements, these longbowmen that are moving in one by one. But I think there's enough longbowmen here. Look at them. In 2 volleys, they're able to take down archers. And all of a sudden, that count from Beasty is starting to even out DeMu at a time when we kind of thought Beasty was going to have more. I think he needs more archery ranges.
Yeah, I mean, right now we got more longbows out in the field. However, this is the issue with the movement speed, right? Like, DeMu, he's trying to run away, not really able to do so. He might lose this entire mass there. That could be devastating for him.
This is how bonkers that movement speed is. Don't get me wrong, archers are usually faster than longbowmen anyway, but at least those longbowmen might have been able to turn around and do some kiting or something like that if you're dealing with archers of a different civilization. But we're going to see a little bit of cat and mouse, right? We're going to see a little bit of back and forth. Beasty trying to take down some random longbowmen that are coming in from the other side of the map, while DeMu is just going to play with that range on top of the cliffside to try to take some of these down. really neck and neck.
Yeah, now we do actually see pro scouts coming in for Beasty. We see the first couple of horsemen in as well. This switch into horsemen could be devastating for DeMu. He doesn't have any blacksmith upgrades or anything like that.
And honestly, I think just having one or two. Now, Beasty does have double broadaxe. DeMu is starting to get it, so that wood economy is even further bolstered with the Aachen Chapel and the double broadaxe. So with Beasty having those horsemen, I think he's not going to show his hand just yet. Having those one horseman at a time isn't really going to do too much for you. You get one or two of those horsemen, all of a sudden, it's going to mean that those longbowmen have to continue to back up. DeMu's starting to get a couple spears. The scout from DeMu notices some little bit of out pockets from Beasty. This could be an area for attack. Look at that Aachen Chapel. There's nobody there. They're knocking. Nobody's home.
Yeah, so right now, no real bonus there from the inspiration, as no villagers are getting inspired by the Aachen Chapel. Only one prelate, and that one is sitting inside of that Aachen Chapel. So if DeMu is able to keep Beasty on the back foot there, he's going to be in a great spot. Behind us, though, Pro Scouts has come in, but we're only on a single scout so far. Ooh, this could be devastating.
Uh-oh.
This could be devastating.
He does see it. It looks like Beasty probably did see it. Yep, it's got to back up. Those longbowmen, just because of the range that they're at, I think they're going to be able to two-tap some of those horsemen, so we'll see how good of a unit it actually is. Continuing to pump in that archer count, military count, crackety, neck, and neck. This is going to be, this one, I'm not sure who's going to win this game, but it's going to be very, very close.
Yeah, behind this, DeMu, he's getting the blacksmith upgrade. If he's able to just wait with the fight now until the blacksmith upgrade comes in, he's going to be in a great spot. The question is, can he really wait? Because Beasty is pushing it. Beasty is pushing it. Longbows able to take down the horseman. Now still having to deal with the archers. Yeah, this is looking bad for DeMu. He's going to get cleaned up here, and that is not something that you want to have happen to you as the English.
Yep, and that's the thing. I mean, with Beasty having that movement speed, right? You do the best you can. You take an engagement that you think might be good. You don't have the potential to back up and get out of harm's way. So all of a sudden, DeMu's army ends up getting cleaned up. You could see how many resources he's spending. Look at DeMu's economy over on the top right portion of your screen. Just about every resource that he has is spent on spearmen and longbowmen. It looks like some of these horsemen from BC might be able to clean up some of the longbowmen, assuming those spearmen don't get there. But just having one or two is going to be really helpful for you, Beasty, with an excellent HRE hold.
Yeah, that's moment.
With him getting the... Craig going to fix his mic, so I'm going to take over just a second. Blacksmith upgrades are coming in for BC. Now, DeMu does have Steeled Arrow. He's getting Iron Undermesh now. That Steeled Arrow is really going to help to try to take down some of those horsemen. At least you might be able to pepper them down so you're not fully reliant on those spearmen, because if you are relying on those spearmen, Beasty does have a lot of these archers that are going to be able to track him down. Those horsemen are going to be able to make those longbowmen move in the opposite direction. Continuing now with those blacksmith upgrades, we'll be able to one-tap, if not get very close to one-tapping those longbowmen. I don't really see what DeMu can do in this situation. He's going into men-at-arms out of the barracks, which I get it, you know, with the HRE, you have horsemen, you have archers up here, but I don't know if he's going to have the economy to get a decent amount of them. And again, DeMu's army is going to continue to back up. When you made a landmark completely about getting some feudal age pressure, right? And all of a sudden, you're backing up the whole time, you're in a bad spot. And BC now with 25 military units, most of them being archers and a couple horsemen rounding out the backside. One pivotal thing, though, when you're talking about the English, no towers up here. This is the first time that we're seeing network of castles about 13 minutes into the game. So no plus 20% attack speed. Maybe that could have helped DeMu in a lot of them, but he was taking fights in multiple different angles. No outpost means that you are in trouble, especially with an archer mass, that it might not be as good in terms of quality, but quantity, you're 3-1.
Early.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to get a couple men-at-arms just to kind of shield this archer fire really quickly. These feudal age men-at-arms, if we could take a click on them just to see. I mean, I know they have iron undermesh, so that is going to help them out. But if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure they just have 3 ranged armor out of the feudal men-at-arms. So the archers with 6, they're still going to be able to pepper and do a decent amount. So we'll see if DeMu is going to be able to push this initiative. Now it kind of begs the question, now that Beasty is in a 2-to-1 military lead, excuse me, he's on that military lead, is there a potential, because he's ahead, to try to get into castle, right? I mean, DeMu is doing all he can to produce enough units. Beasty is having a decent amount of food. It looks like food is starting to be his bottleneck just a little bit because of the amount of horsemen that he's going to be able to use. Everybody is effing in the chat, so are we live currently? Production? Okay, great. Hello? We are we are live. So Beasty's coming back with his professional scouts on to the Aachen Chapel. There's that tower from DeMu, that holy outpost for the English, going to be able to give him that network of castles. But Beasty's making sure that that network of castles doesn't get networked. And those villagers are going to be running back. That's more idle time for villagers and resources that you really want to use. And all of those archers will be able to take down those longbowmen. Because again, mobility. Those longbowmen are caught. And they're all dead. I don't know if Crack is back. I can keep going. The the archers. Sorry, guys. The archers, the longbowmen, are doing their best to kind of kite back and pepper. Again, no network. The longbowmen are running back to the hometown center, just trying to find something. I was talking about Beasty maybe going into castle a little bit. He's like, forget that, dude. I am going with all of my units. Now, once you get to that English base, though, right, that network of castles comes up, that town bell that says, you know, ring-a-ding-ding, there's enemies around. And then all of a sudden, with that network of castles, it ends up being a disadvantageous fight. So Beasty just kind of putting on the pressure, making English stay in their base. But you can see how Beasty is preparing for this, is fighting for this, right? He's not diving in. He's not getting siege engineering. He's not making rams because he knows that's a death sentence. So he's going to end up backing up just a little bit. You can see him hoarding some resources. He's got about 1,000 gold. He can get any blacksmith upgrade twice over if he wants to. Might be a good idea to use the market if he wants to try to add some of that. Maybe go up into the Castle Age. A Burgrave might not be a bad play with some Castle Age men-at-arms. That would be spicy, especially with professional scouts as well, bringing in all these deer. So Outpost finally goes up. There's that ring-a-ding-ding. Crackety?
Am I back? Am I
Hello? Oh my god, he's not drowning anymore. He's safe.
I'm safe? I think I'm drowning.
Oh, okay. Great. Horse... Never mind. Horseman going to be able to get around onto those longbowmen. Sorry, guys. Debated you a little bit. Special scouts coming in on the south side. But see, this is the thing. Do you see the difference in this fight between network of castles and not network of castles? Now, Beasty's army gets completely cleaned up on a relatively even count. The network of castles is a big deal. Now, Beasty going for Burgrave. We've seen a lot of tempo plays. We saw Royal Institute out of DeMu game number 1. Game number 2, Beasty's going for the tempo. He's like, hey, I'm going to make a bunch of these men-at-arms. I'm going to make them a 6-second a pop, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Crackety's still not back. The Burgrave.
I'm trying.
The Burgrave. I leave, like, see, this is the thing, Chad. I leave a little pauses, like, so Crackety can come in and do something. And
Wait,
then when he's ready.
I think I'm back.
Oh, he's back with the Burgrave.
I think Cow DDoS me.
Great. Now. Great. Crackety, you're chomping at the bit. Start talking, dude.
Oh my god. I'm being put on the spot, but look at Beasty. He's putting DeMu on the spot right now. Men-at-arms, they're stuck in the backside, dealing with the men-at-arms from Beasty. The horsemen are getting cleaned up. Maybe DeMu can buy himself some time. He has a good amount of farms going for himself. Deer eventually are going to dry up. We don't have a lot of farms around the Archon Chapel. The question is, can DeMu buy himself some time here?
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing, right? Because I feel like DeMu is kind of stuck in this perpetual crisis of, if I don't make units, I'm going to die. If I do make units, I can't go up to castle, and then I die, right? So it's going to be difficult, and especially with HRE being able to track down with those men-at-arms. Obviously, those longbowmen aren't going to do too much to those men-at-arms, but because the Castle Age men-at-arms of the Holy Roman Empire are going to be able to track you down rather quickly, all you need is a decent amount of them, and Beasty's got about 9. He might be adding a little bit more, some knights in the background as well with a couple archers, is wedging his rivets. So getting that +2, and those longbowmen are going to be shooting marshmallows in no time.
Yeah, these rivets are indeed being wedged behind all of this. More men-at-arms coming in for DeMu. He does have some on the field. At least they're still going to act as a nice little buffer here for him. With the attack speed R as well, might still be able to hold, but this is a tough one right now. It is a very tough situation for DeMu at this time against these Castle Age units that are streaming out of Beasty space. He's trying to get up a lot of gold behind this, wants to go for the next age up, but at the same time, you feel like you really have to still invest into the military against what Beasty is putting up right now on the table here.
Right, like you don't have a choice. Exactly, you're exactly right. I mean, if he didn't make those military, those men-at-arms would have been running in there whether you like it or not. Hopefully, Beasty's going to be able to get a couple more of those upgrades. He does have his rivets wedged, but he has the potential to get two-handed weapons if he wants to. Heavy maces might not be that important just because of the amount of men-at-arms that DeMu has, or lack thereof, I should say. So now that Beasty has men-at-arms with that +2 in his base, getting a knight out on some of those farm fields, those glorious English wheat fields have nothing to separate that wheat from the chaff. It looks like DeMu has to vacate just about all of them, and these men-at-arms showed no signs of slowing down. That knight in the back in that wonderful picture-in-picture, making sure that those villagers end up going down. Longbowmen, there's so many things to shoot, and they realize what they're shooting is garbage.
Yeah. The shoots that you shoot just don't do the things that they should shoot. And yeah, GG gets called. Not enough arrows there. The Burgrave Palace overrun there from Beasty, utilizing the Pro Scout Deer. And we can tell by the total amount of resource gathered. There is a big food discrepancy, and that is insane because one of these players was playing as the English.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, with DeMu doing that feudal age aggression, right? When he was going with all of those longbowmen, it's really important to get a bunch of that wood early so that Council Hall actually gets used. And it was getting used. It just so happens that Beasty, with the HRE, was able to continue the amount of archers the same as DeMu, while also getting the food to get some horsemen and really take the battle to him. And we could see the replay in these pivotal moments. Those first couple longbowmen, they might have been able to take down maybe an HRE villager, but they didn't set the tone as much as you might have liked. And you see this pivotal fight on the bottom. Hopefully we actually see the engagement that comes in, because this is the most devastating part. With DeMu, he only has like 3 or 4 spearmen here. I think I'm seeing 3. So as long as Beasty's able to micro them down, and he does pretty effectively, that one horseman is going to be enough to tank so those archers can come behind and create that DPS. So that's exactly what happened. These archers are going to be able to continue to kite those longbowmen, and then all of a sudden, the longbowmen are gone.
Yeah, especially in a situation where every single time these archers shoot a volley off, one unit dies, one longbow dies. If you need 3 shots against a horseman, that means your opponent is going to be able to kill 3 units by the time you kill 1. That suddenly gives you such a big lead in the archer count, and we could tell like Beasty was just able to march on afterwards with his units, and yeah, with the pro scouts, with all the food that he got off the map there, able to just keep fueling his economy, finally able to regain ground underneath that Archon Chapel to make use of that inspiration on his villagers.
You know, honestly, Crackety, I think not having a tower probably ended up killing DeMu. Not having network of castles in all of these big engagements is like a super no-no against any civilization when you're playing as the English. You put a tower down, they give you plus 20% attack speed, which I think is probably one of the more busted things that this game has to offer. Everyone knows my disdain for English. So with the outpost going up there, those longbowmen shooting a little bit quicker means you can rip through those volleys to try to get some of those horsemen down, and then it ends up being a different story.
Yeah, indeed. The issue there is as well, like, while you're trying to get those up, you're losing out a lot on your own mobility. So you kind of want to stay around that outpost until it goes up. But at the same time, that means that you're not able to get like potential villager kills by running around the wood lines. It's definitely something that you do have to evaluate there based on the situation, whether you can go for the outpost or whether you should just try massing more units in the meantime. Because if you're getting caught out, if you pull like 2 villagers forward, not only do you idle 2 villagers, if you lose them as well, it's going to set you behind massively. So you really have to like check for the right moment in time there. But I agree. I think like even just crawling forward from the middle with an outpost would have helped him out a lot there.
Yeah, because even you don't like with the little bit of control that you get, because with those longbowmen, you have to incrementally inch up, right? So if you have the ability to incrementally put outposts there, you have the ability to garrison those longbowmen into those outposts, so maybe it's not that devastating. And especially with a bunch of archers, it's an archer-heavy mass from Beasty and Feudal, that outpost might have been able to stop them in their tracks, really slow the game down. But you're kind of seeing the end of this game because of all of that Castle Age units, all of that armor. DeMu did not have a chance as the English. So, tied up. Beasty is able to take this game number 2. Game number 3 on the Gorge. This is one of my favorite maps, Crackety. It's Malians versus Rus. This is, you know, with the Malians, they kind of throw a wrench into this whole professional scouts thing, because their scouts are professional and they also can be warriors at the same time. You know, they're just one of those guys that's like good at everything, and you're like, how are you so good at everything?
Yeah, professional warrior scouts, they're on a whole nother level, because not only do they, well, beat other scouts, so they're like horseman and scout in one unit, basically. But they also get more movement speed than a normal scout, which means while they carry deer, they also have more movement speed than other scouts.
Yeah, and we are going to see that if the Malians do end up doing that, right? If the Malians do, obviously, you're probably going to have to, right? You're playing against the Rus. They have hunting cabins. They're going to go professional scouts. We all know, you know, if you've been under a rock for the last year, maybe you wouldn't have an idea. You'd be building the Kremlin. But because all of us have been awake and alert for most of this tournament, we're going to know that Pro Scouts is going to be hitting the battlefield soon. So if you're the Malians, right, with the Pro Scouts, obviously that's being a good idea. I've been seeing some Farimba follow-up with that, and then I see some maybe like a minor cow boom, and they can kind of like slowly increment a cow boom. What have you seen?
What I've seen recently was Mali age up with the Grand Fulani Corral when they didn't even have a cattle rancher on the Grand Fulani Corral.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
But then you look 2 minutes later and suddenly it's full. Suddenly all the cattle are around there. It can be a little bit crazy sometimes, just how quickly you're able to mass up those cattle inside the ranches. But typically, I mean, in this situation, on this map, in this matchup, we're definitely going to see Pro Scouts, I think, from both players. I think that is not even going to be a question, realistically. What I would love to see is, or rather what's going to be the most important, I feel like, is going to be like utilization of the scouts before feudal age comes in. Like, obviously Rus are going to have multiple scouts, so maybe you can harass a little bit on the gold, have some scouts just burn down houses. Just the build up towards that Pro Scouts unit choice is going to be very important as well. Whether we're going to see spearmen or whether it's going to be knights. I think knights probably make more sense, but it's tough to call just because spearmen, they take so long to catch up. But here we go into our game number 3. It's a tied up series right now between Beasty and DeMu. We're here on Gorge witnessing the Malians coming in from Beasty in the color yellow against the Rus from DeMu in the color purple.
Yeah, you know, you were talking about just before this game started, you were talking about things like army composition, and Malians, although we're talking about those warrior scouts being good professional scouts, but let's not sleep on the Donzo, Crackety. I mean, not only is it the spearmen for obvious reasons, but if you park that thing or you get a couple of them near a deer pack, they can just throw their spear. You know, they get tired of holding it, they get pissed off, and they're like, you know what? Come over here, you son of a... Then they just throw it like a... Oh, my God. And then it does devastating amounts. to those scouts, and it could mean that those deer don't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's not typical, though, I want to say, that we're going to be seeing Donzos out from the Malians in a situation where both are going pro scout. I think usually you just see more warrior scouts. The thing that I want to see here is, or rather, the thing that I want to argue here is, you going for spearmen as the ruse doesn't feel that great when, for situations where you actually want to take fights in. I think just knights and archers are probably going to be your main composition. Sure, spearmen are great, but if Mali starts massing up those archers, it doesn't feel that great massing up your own spearmen.
Yeah, that is very true, right? Both of these civilizations have a good ability to get passive income and just, spawn some income out of thin air. And that's exactly what Roos is going to be doing with those hunting cabins by that gorge, that backwood line that we all know, very notorious of the gorge, and he has one a little bit forward as well. The Malians with their pit mine, and then you got to be thinking about, once you get to the second age for the Malians, where is that second pit mine going to go? And looking at those spawns, he's got a big juicy one right in the corner. That seems to be a pretty safe go of it if he wants to be able to.
Can we take a look at Beasty Space? Because, and his pit mine as well, he's put up a lot of additional buildings on there. That's going to mean that his age up will be significantly delayed. Like, he invested a lot of wood into that pit mine. Grant, he's going to get more gold out of it. At the same time, like, the age up still hasn't been started yet.
Now, is this potential, and I'm asking because I'm not sure, is this potential for Beasty, when he does age up, he's going to be able to click that Pro Scout button as soon as he ages up?
It could be, but the same thing will go either way for Roos as well. Like, they're also just immediately going to be able to use that one ticket that they get and pretty much immediately go for the Pro Scout upgrade. It's going to be interesting to see what the follow-up is going to be from Beasty. He already has a lot of gold in the bank. A minute from now, he is going to have enough for that Pro Scout upgrade.
Yeah, I'm sure he will eventually. One of the very annoying things when you're playing against the Roos is, especially if you're the Malians, all of those scouts, they still have torches, right? So they're going to be able to take down some of those houses that are a little bit lower on health than your average. So hopefully with those 3 scouts, maybe he could take one down and cost a little bit of wood for BC in order to rebuild it. Now, Golden Gate going to be completed by DeMu right now, 3:55. Pretty good timing. A little bit late on some of that wood to use that ticket if he wants to. So it's going to take a little bit of time. He's not going to get that Pro Scouts right out of the gate. He needs to get that gold. He needs to use that ticket.
Yeah, we do have 3 scouts, one working on the first house, second one following up, third one on his way as well. So I'm going to see some serious burning damage coming through, and DeMu now has enough resource. Pro Scout is now in queue. The opposite side, Beasty needs a little bit more, has to wait for the passive gold to come in, either through the Monster Quarry or through Pit Mine. There we go, and another Pro Scout's getting queued.
Yeah, this one really makes sense. So it's 7, instead of doing the usual, I think it's 6, that's usual houses on the pit mine. He went for, now that that one's gone, but he went for 7 and that mining camp pretty much immediately to make sure you're able to get that. Stable's going to go up very quickly, and that Warrior Scout upgrade is rather cheap, so he's going to be able to get that while Pro Scouts is coming, and he just clicked it.
Yeah. Beasty wanted that stable up, and he wanted it up yesterday. That's how many villagers he pulled for that one. But a second house is going to get burnt down here. I'm not sure if this is really worth it, because like the delay of like roughly 40 seconds on the age up, like, the Monster Quarry generates gold. Surely it... I'm not sure if it's worth it at that point in time.
Yeah.
Warrior Scout's about to finish. Well, has finished.
I was kind of, honestly, Crackety, I was kind of thinking that too, because when you go up to Fuel Age, you want to be at a quicker time so you get those Warrior Scouts, and you make sure that if DeMu is getting any kind of deer on any pack, you're going to have enough Warrior Scouts to do something about it. He hated that sheep. That thing's a carcass he can pick up later,
pick
that's
that
for
up.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah. And DeMu's going to be making a bunch of these scouts and getting that safe deer pack to the northwestern side of his base. So already, with those 2 carcasses going to be slapped down right in that town center, Pro Scouts just paid off.
DeMu is going to be opening up with the Dunzo play now. Looks like Beasty is making a turn, potentially, for the deer. of DeMu does know where they're at.
You know, I've kind of noticed, especially because Pro Scouts has been so prevalent, right? Stealing your opponent's deer doesn't really feel too advantageous. Like, Beasty knew it was coming. He had Warrior Scouts. Look at how much devastating damage they're able to do against some of these Scouts. Making sure that the micro is there to move up so that Scout is gone. And look at that Pro Scout just like, hey, you had that deer, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that bad boy real quick.
Your deer, our deer.
And look at how, even with the deer, now do me a favor, Vodka, when a Warrior Scout does have a deer, click on it for how much speed that's there. So we can see the difference. This Warrior Scout.
Checked, it's 1.4. Yeah.
Yep. 1.14. And then the deer for the Roos coming back 1.06. You might think that 0.08 isn't that big of a deal, but it feels like a lot when you're able to scurry out of the way. DeMu's going to be the first one, though, that gets close to Castle Age. Golden Gate really helping you out in that one. He's almost at that 600 gold, and we'll get that food pretty shortly.
Yeah, looks like DeMu is still able to get in a big of the deer that he had on the right side of his base. Donzo count is starting to build up, but DeMu, he's not even looking for that. He's trying to go for the age up. Might be trying to go for a little yoink as well. It's difficult though. Donzo and Warrior Scouts are gonna make that very tough to pull off. And these looks like that deer is gonna have to be dropped. Where's he gonna drop it? Drop it next to a tree. Make it hard to click.
Anywhere. Put it literally anywhere. Great. Now he's dead with it.
Kratos coming in though. Yeah, but that's a good age up timing now for DeMu coming in. He's got a lot of villagers on wood, so I assume we're probably gonna see, I want to say, Cav Archers. It doesn't feel that great, mainly because you're Pozo, so you can do bonus damage against them from range, but it's unit in the game, right? At the moment, once you hit that Castle Age for Roos, like, what else are you gonna do? You want to make, like, you want to make men-at-arms? Well, they got Musafati warriors. You want to make knights? Well, tough luck. They're gonna have other units as well to deal with that. Donzos, namely, which are already out on the field. Or Beasty.
Yeah, it always felt like the Malians, especially, probably more so with when you're watching them play against the French, they have a really good kit against those heavy cavalry units, right? With those Donzos being able to throw spears, obviously that's going to help you. But depending on how many Donzos you get, and you can see that Beasty isn't really near the Castle Age. So when DeMu does go up, he's going to go up at around the 9-minute mark. Beasty's going to have to make something in Feudal Age to make sure he doesn't get completely run over. Now, he's starting with a Javelin Thrower and adding some Warrior Scouts still. But those Warrior Scouts, they don't have the armor to blunt a Horse Archer arrow. Those Javelin Throwers just have 3 plus 1 if he does get Iron Undermesh, so he's going to have 4. These Horse Archers are going to be able to rip through those and have the mobility to get out of harm's way.
We are going to be seeing the Cav Archers coming in now.
And hopefully for Crackety, he's just going to be able... Or for DeMu, Jesus, you're not even playing. You're my co-caster. With with DeMu here with these Horse Archers, does a good job having 3 archery ranges. It's going to be the first one to try to get those relics. But you need a good mass of those Horse Archers before you start running out there. And that's exactly what DeMu is doing. He's got a couple of them that are going to be trying to help these scouts. And he's producing out of those archery ranges 3 at a time. Because those Horse Archers, a little bit of food, a little bit of wood, but they produce very quickly. You can get this critical mass before you blink.
Ooh, Beasty is going to go for the Javelin Throwers next. That is interesting, because, sure, Javelin Throwers have a lot of armor, but Cav Archers, they got a lot of base damage, so the Javelin Archers, they're not as tanky as one might expect against them. The Javelin Throwers aren't as tanky as one might expect against the Cav Archers.
Oh, yeah, I mean, just because of the base damage of the Horse Archer, you might be able to rip through it. You know, the Javelin Thrower is going to be probably more of a defensive unit. Donzo's throwing your spear, but you can only throw 1. You only get 2 spears when you're a Donzo. 1 you could throw. The second one, you got to keep, and you got to use. Now with that Donzo going down, you have the ability to kite it.
Ooh, Pitmine actually got burnt down. Big value there. There's so many scouts. Boy's Fortitude coming in as well. That means that the scouts from DeMu as well are going to get a good amount of bonus HP. They're going to need it because they're about to be on the run.
Oh no, with these horse archers, you gotta back out of there, do a little bit of kiting, a little bit of do-si-do, and that's what DeMu's gonna end up doing, takes down 1 or 2 Donzos in the process. These warrior scouts are faster, 1.75 to DeMu's 1.62, so they will be able to catch up eventually. Boyar's Fortitude might be able to help out, but these horse archers against the Malians with not that much armor and not that much mobility with those javelin throwers, this could be DeMu's real time to shine if he gets a good mass of them. 13 on the map right now. It looks like DeMu will be scooping up some of those relics as well. He's got 1 already in there. 2 are being waltzed over into that monastery, high trade house, giving him that passive gold as well. Hopefully, for Beasty's sake, he was able to get a pit mine back over there on that western side to get that passive gold, because DeMu might be beating him, and there's that. Yep, there's that pit mine. If he didn't have that, I would say DeMu would be dangerously close in the passive gold income, and that's Malian's bread and butter. And we can see DeMu also adding a barracks and adding some spearmen against some of those warrior scouts. It might prove to be helpful for you. Let's see those horse archers kite like we all know they could do. No horse archers went down in the making of that battle. Those warrior scouts don't get bonus damage against them, not until they are in Castle Age. So with these horse archers, this is their time to run around. Beasty is doing a cow transition all the way in the back, right by his starting town center, and most likely will be going with the Grand Flulani Corral. So if DeMu wants to do a decent amount of damage, this is his opportunity. You might not be able to go for the corral itself just because it's in the back of the town center, but you're going to try to do something. Warrior Monk trying to get that relic on the western side, and I think it will get scooped up. The horse archers are going to save it.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, right? Like we talked about the warrior, the pro warrior scouts having a lot of movement speed. The mounted religious units have 1.22 tiles per second of movement speed while carrying a relic. That is just 0.03 tiles less than normal infantry.
Yeah, wild. And heads up, this crackety heads up statistic. I love that. How much speed that they have, because you don't really think about that, right? You don't really think about that. We always talk about dervishes in terms of economic units and prelates and scholars, but warrior monks, they definitely have it. And the ability for Saint's Blessing. Now Beasty goes into the Castle Age with a military count that's somewhat even. Does DeMu want to take this fight before the Castle Age upgrades come in? He's adding a couple spearmen and adding men-at-arms as well. Maybe he wants this.
I don't think you can find a timing that is before the age of upgrades come in against the Malians, because not only do their veterancy upgrade cost half, but they also come in twice as quick.
Yeah, we're going to see them come in right now. The javelin throwers are of veteran status. No Farimba this time around, so we're not going to see any javelineer or any kind of fancy schmancy kind of unit. It's just going to be some javelin throwers. He's added some Musafati and some Donzos. I like his comp. It's pretty good.
It is. I think DeMu also has a good comp going for him. If he now adds more spearmen, more men-at-arms, he's going to have a great front line and a great back line.
I think this is the interesting part of this game, as DeMu now has all 3 Sacred Sites and 5 relics, so his passive gold might be comparable. Wants to take this fight. Horse archers rounded up the back. Saints Blessing on a lot of those men-at-arms and spearmen. I think those Donzos might end up going down. Men-at-arms trying to get around the back line towards those javelin throwers. That Malian army, that front line at least, ends up getting picked apart. Those javelin throwers got to run.
Yeah, they do have to run. They're still doing a great amount of damage, though, to those Cav archers. A lot more range on them. And realistically, DeMu can't do too much damage here behind all of this, unless he's able to pick some of the...
Yeah, you end up taking down this cattle. Malians play differently than any other civilization. You're not worried about taking down the villagers as much. You're looking about taking down their buildings. A lot of those cows, a lot of those cattle ranches, the pit mines might be a little quick for the taking. I don't think this is DeMu's like end-all be-all game push, because you saw him buy stone over there on the top right part of your screen. He got a little bit of stone, so maybe he's going for that second town center, might be able to outscale Beasty later. For him, this might be just getting the resource, getting the time in order to do that.
Yeah, and while Beasty has a lot of passive income, so does DeMu. 5 relics, 3 sacred sites. It's not looking bad.
No, it absolutely isn't. I know DeMu has to get a little bit of wood to make sure, but that second town center is going to get completed right next to that high trade house. It's going to be able to help him out just a little bit. So Beasty, now he's in this like quote-unquote late game economy, and the Malians are going to be the first ones to do it because of the pit mines, because of the corral, and all that kind of stuff. You can see how much food they're getting. You can see how much gold per minute they're getting. The best part about it is this isn't quote-unquote raidable. There aren't villagers that you kill. You have to sit and torch these buildings down. You have to get to those cattle, which is right next to the starting town center. So Beasty is pretty much shored up. With DeMu taking that fight, Beasty's going to have the ability to reproduce all of those units. I think DeMu is going to be falling a little bit behind, and we're seeing that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the point in time where Mali is truly threatening, because they can mess up so much military without having to invest into economy numbers. Look at that, BC also got a second TC up.
Wow.
Throwers?
Yeah, that's... You don't really expect to see that out of the Malians, but what's nice is it doesn't cost stone, right? It's 450 gold instead. So it's very easy transition for him to do that. And I think maybe he did see the DeMu second town center, so he was like, well, maybe I can kind of keep going in that villager count. He's going to stay consistently above DeMu, assuming there's no raids.
Yeah, Decap has come in now on 2 sacred sites. He's starting to mess up a huge amount of units.
Yeah, and this is kind of the Zergling kind of the Malians, right? With all of these infantry units just bumbling and stumbling their way across the map, trying to find something to take down. DeMu is continuing to stay on the horse archers. He's got about 20 right now. Only added maybe 1 or 2 crossbowmen. What do you think about these horse archers? Because in the beginning, that early castle is where they really shine. Don't you feel like their power level starts to die down as you continue to progress?
Yeah, 100%. Right about now, they're not looking good at all anymore. And, ooh, Beasty, is he going to go for this? There is double outposts here with emplacements as well. Yeah, he thought about it. He was like, okay, I got big military, but double outpost, double wooden fortress as well. It's really, really scary.
Yeah, those wooden fortresses really pack a punch, and they're tanky SOBs, aren't they? You know, you have the ability to not only get the sprinkled outpost, but castle turret, which I think is very slept on. Those arrows doing more damage. I think it's +3 damage for each arrow, so you park 80 of your villagers on there. And I really like what DeMu's doing is he's not really worried about mining stone. He's just using the Golden Gate and then getting emplacements that way.
Yeah, I mean, castle turrets, it's not that expensive. You can get arrow slits as well as castle turrets with 1 trade from the Golden Gate.
Yeah, then that wooden fortress ends up becoming a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure. Looks like DeMu is starting to stray away from that horse archer, adding some crossbowmen. He's expecting some Sofa. He's adding a Mangonel as well, and honestly, Mangonel is probably the #1 unit to use against the Malians because of all of that range mass, all of those foot soldiers that are there.
Ooh, and now fight is breaking out onto those wooden fortresses. Placements are doing a great job, but looks like DeMu can't quite tank enough there, and villagers, they're going to have to evacuate from the first wooden fortress. It's like 1 still holding on, though. Looks like DeMu has enough here, at least for the moment, to push Beasty back, but outside the range of the wooden fortress, it still is a situation where I would favor Beasty.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's doing a really good job of splitting up those javelin throwers so they don't get some overkill. You can see that in the back line. Horse archers, every time those javelin throwers let go of javelins, it almost looked like 2 or 3 at a time end up going down. And even though with DeMu having his front line still around and those men-at-arms, it's not going to be in enough time before those ranged units start going down. So yeah, overall, decent hold by DeMu, but again, Beasty, look at how many units he's got in the queue. He's just going to keep pumping them.
Yeah, he's trying to get some raids in as well on the farming economy from DeMu. First, Mangonel has just come out. And now that Beasty's lost a lot of units, he can just easily remass them. 1,800 food per minute for him. And he's scaling in the economy at the same pace that DeMu is, so DeMu, he added in that second DC thinking that eventually he's gonna outscale Beasty. That's not happening right now.
No, it definitely isn't. And just because, again, we talked about that late game economy for the Malians, check it out. 1,800 food per minute from those cows and some other external resources. 1,200, 1,300 gold per minute. Beasty's economy is, honestly, I think it's a mile ahead of what DeMu's is, because he's got to wait for that town center to pump units. It's got to take some time for it to pay off. Beasty already had those buildings. It takes about 30 seconds to get a pit mine. So getting that stuff is not as difficult. Also, with that second town center going to be helping him out. DeMu's going to be on the defense, and I'm not really sure with how many Zerglings we're going to see running through. I'm not sure what DeMu's going to have here.
Yeah, it's not just on the right side, though. The left side as well. We are seeing two separate armies coming in from Beasty. Outpost has been rebuilt and placements are coming in. That's a lot of infantry. Actually, not that much infantry force. Not a lot of torching power there. Villagers are going to have to get evacuated. Outpost should be able to deal with the army there. So Demko doesn't need to split his own army up. Which will mean that he can take a good fight here. Push Beasty back out of his base. It's not over yet, though, because after any of these waves, there is another one that Beasty can prep right behind it. And he's also looking to go to Imperial Age soon. Never mind. He just queued up 10, 11 Sofa and Musafati warriors, so, you know, he hurt me and he was... Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I saw that too, Crackety, and I was like, oh, is there going to be a Fort of the Huntress? Not so fast. He's got just about every unit that he wants to make queued up. Sofas, Musafati, archers running out here. Those archers with poison arrows, I believe, have been completed already. So BC did split up his units, just a couple of them, but this is DeMu's entire mass, or most of it at this point. If he does have that main mass, which is by the western side of DeMu's starting town center, there's going to be nothing back home for DeMu to defend it.
DeMu, while BC's on retreat, is able to pick up a good amount of units here. But looking at the military count, you would expect DeMu's military count to be shrinking while he's getting chased like that. No, it's growing.
And I think with all of the production buildings that BC has back home, most of his things were relatively untouched because he was taking fights in the Roost base for most of the time. And it's going to continue to go up just like that. Now all of the army, or most of it I should say, is ending up converging on the Rus army, and you're going to see those men-at-arms from the Rus melt by the Musafati. Sofa's doing some bonus damage to infantry as well, and now BC's just going to turn around and run right back into the base.
Yeah, looks like DeMu wanted to save his crossbows. Beasty, he's on the hunt now, sniffing them out. Crossbows focusing onto the Sofas. I think Castle Age. Warrior Scouts start doing bonus damage to range units as well.
Yeah, they kind of act like the horseman equivalent, right? So
oh no!
Oh, those
that's
mangonels!
over. There's no way. Yeah, that might just be GG. That might just be GG. There's so many units. The Malians, man.
And pop. He's adding Springolds. Oh my God! Now is not the time for that. Get popped. It's over. He's just going to be able to flood in. Military count of 15 for DeMu with no signs of being able to replenish what he has. He's trying to put things in the queue, but Malians, there's Zerg. There's Zerg all over the place, popping Springolds. This is definitely the ball game, Crackety. You are absolutely right.
Yeah, there's no recovery anymore possible now. Outposts are trying to do their best. More emplacements are coming in. We got double siege workshops here trying to print out those Springolds. Springolds do well against the Musafati warriors, not so much though against the Sofas that are coming in as well.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I see where it is. I see where the benefit is of those Springolds, but I think it's just way too late, right? Like, you pumped in, or you made about 5 or 6 mangonels, which didn't really do anything in terms of value, but assuming they were going to be able to, those mangonels probably would have been better than those Springolds anyway, but maybe just because of those resources. He's continuing to try to kite with them. Warrior Scouts do get bonus damage towards that siege, and you are seeing water balloons popping all over this Roost base.
Behind this, there's still 95 military from Beastie. So many archers, way more in queue as well. There's just no way to get rid of the army now. And there we go. GG gets called 2-1 now for Beasty, but the set is not over yet. We do have the match point in Beasty's hand.
I was just gonna say this doesn't stop until DeMu hits the surrender button, and surrender he did. Take a look at these resources gathered with these lovely charts that we have in front of you. Resources for Beasty, obviously a hell of a lot more, and that's because most of the stuff that was getting all of those resources didn't really cost anything. It was some pit mines, it was some cattle ranches, and that kind of stuff. You see how much gold he had compared to DeMu, and let's not forget, DeMu had 5 relics, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Plus the high trade house. Yeah, you can see that on the lower left part of the screen. 5 relics, sacred sites for a little bit of time, the high trade house, hunting cabin spam, pit mines, too much.
It's the pit mines, it's the cattle, right? Like, I think maybe cattle need to be nerfed overall by just reducing their effectiveness, but also reducing their cost. Just because at the moment, cattle are just insane. They're just absolutely insane with how much value they provide you with. Looking at the food gathered, right? Like, he's been gathering off of deer the entire time, and it just wasn't enough. He's been gathering off deer, and Beasty had barely any villagers on food, yet he's leading by a lot in the food department.
Yep, exactly. And I think it might show for cattle ranches. I think nerfing the HP off of cattle ranches to make them something easier to pick off and snipe. It's kind of similar to a Byzantine aqueduct, right? You can get rid of the hydration level if you're able to take down one of those small aqueducts. And Byzantines, we are going to see out of DeMu in this game number 4, and Beasty is playing Jeanne d'Arc. Dude, I did not expect to see Jeanne d'Arc today.
Yeah, neither did I. So that's an interesting one that we're going to be seeing. Looks like it's going to be coming up right now. So fresh out of the kitchen, it might still be raw, so you better check. But we're going to be jumping into game number 4 now between Beasty and DeMu. Byzantines up against Jeanne d'Arc. Welcome, everyone. We're here on a classic map. It's Dry Arabia.
The driest of Arabia's,
pretty green.
The Byzantine Empire. Well, actually, I was going to say it's the driest of Arabia's, but this Byzantine player, DeMu, getting a little bit wet with that cistern, adding that water level, making sure everybody is hydrated. Now, very quickly with this one, Byzantines versus Jeanne d'Arc. I used to like this a lot. Remember when Jeanne d'Arc first came out, right? And people were thinking it's super insane. And they were just able to steamroll the Byzantines because the Byzantines were slow to get going. Not so much, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, Jeanne, she received a couple of nerfs here and there. A couple of slight tweaks, I want to say, here and there, Used to be that she got to like level 3 by minute 9 before being able to like get a lot of experience from the board. She used to get like 100 experience from both boards, so that was kind of, that might have been a little bit over the top. Now it's been tuned down to more reasonable levels, and she got experience from wolves as well. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit intense just how much experience she got from the guy out on the map.
Man, that was good times. That was good stuff. And then when John, because of those boar and the wolves that you're able to get around the map, you get level 3 Jeanne d'Arc by like 10 or 11 minutes, and your opponent's like, okay, I guess I just lose now. Because dealing with that was impossible. The range damage decrease that hits from Jeanne is very similar to how Siege works now. A certain percentage ends up getting tapered off of Jeanne d'Arc, all because she spawned that white horse underneath. But now, a little bit slower for Jeanne d'Arc to do this, right? And then a little bit quicker for the Byzantines to get up and going.
Exactly. But yeah, it used to be that meta where Jeanne, she just gets to level 3, your opponent just starts spamming Spearmen up against the Knights, but suddenly you're getting those men-at-arms in that do bonus damage against Spearmen, and Jeanne just rides through the Spearmen, does a big AoE swoop, and all your Spearmen go down.
Yeah, that was, oh man.
Good times, good times.
Those were good times. I knew, Crackety, you hated that. I knew that you were not a big Jeanne d'Arc fan. Me, we were together for a little bit of time, but now she's more of an ex-wife, and we're not really on speaking terms. The getting the lawyers involved, it was a lot.
Hey,
but
you
anyway.
either ride the wave or you brace against it.
Right. Right. And man, I was up that creek without a paddle, let me tell you. Grand Winery. Grand Winery coming up with 3 villagers, getting that barracks very quickly, getting those Limitane against Jeanne d'Arc, because you know those knights are going to start coming out. You need that. And that divine wrath, that whirly do, as I like to call it, from Jeanne d'Arc, isn't as formidable as it used to be.
Yeah, it got a couple of hits there as well. You really put a dent in units. It still does a decent amount of damage. Not as much, though, as it used to. Grand Winery coming in from DeMu. Looking overall at the base spawns here, I'm not sure if this is like... This is a pretty balanced spawn, I want to say, for DeMu, because he's got the gold in the back, so you have safe resources there, but then the berries are at the front side, so it's a little bit of a trade-off, You get gold in the back, and you get berries at the front. You're still gonna have to watch out, get some units out. Don't be too greedy here.
Yeah, I think just making sure that you could be a little bit defensive, right? Just making sure that you can have these 1 or 2 Limitane when you do get up, just to make sure those knights don't get first pickings on some of those Byzantine villagers, because not only are these obviously important, they're important for every civilization, but each villager works a little bit faster as the Byzantines just because of that cistern. So every villager that you can save is really, really important to help fight that French or Jeanne d'Arc snowball. Now that we see that barracks coming up, Limitane will be completed very soon. Let's talk about Merc contract. What mercenaries are you expecting to see against a Jeanne d'Arc player?
I mean, I think DeMu will probably want to wait until he sees what type of Jeanne he's going to be dealing with. If it's going to be range Jeanne, go javelins. Easy. Because then you also get the camels later on, and you're going to have a great time. If your opponent goes for melee Jeanne, you can go for the longbows. You can get that big mass of longbows going. They're going to help you a lot throughout the middle stages of the game as well. But we are going to be seeing that melee form, so longbows should be a great choice here. I think you can still go for both either way, though.
I was going to say, I was thinking either, I don't think anyone is necessarily incorrect. The amount of longbowmen that you get, just because you get an extra one is very helpful. Beasty, oh man, getting that brace against those Limitane, that's a lot of health on a knight that you really don't want to be taking. And this is really important as this game starts to develop, Crackety, because with French and Jeanne d'Arc, there's snowball civilization. You've got to pack that snow to be effective and take down opponents. With knights being at half health, it's going to be difficult. Those Limitane might have good hits. Jeanne d'Arc, though, looking for a little whirly-do. Got to back up.
Yeah, I was wondering for a second. For a split second, I was like, maybe DeMu just going to use accuratory defenses and surround. But looks like we did get those javelin throws in. Needs a little bit more olive oil, though, for the first bunch. Does have the olive groves for that, though. And there we go. First couple of javelin throws are going to be coming in for him. We are seeing pro scouts now as well from Jeanne. Makes sense. Gets the discount.
I was going to say, yeah, I think pro scouts is kind of inevitable for Jeanne d'Arc just because of that discount. And you do have Jeanne d'Arc as a unit if you want to try to take down other scouts. If there's spearmen around, if there's horsemen, it'll be doing okay 1-for-1. But with Jeanne d'Arc having the ability to, and I feel like Byzantines have a little bit of an indirect nerf, so to speak, because they don't really do that. They don't go for pro scouts, right? So they're more relying on berries. They're relying on olive groves to try to get there. If Beasty's able to use the pro scouts, use that villager gathering speed on those deer, he could get enough knights and enough units to overwhelm the Byzantines in feudal age even.
Yeah, and you can just tell just how quickly these French or Jeanne knights can kill a villager. By the time you get the notification, it's already too late. Charge in one attack and that villager is gonna be gone. Just like that, Beasty, with the transformation from Jeanne into a military unit, managed to even out the economy numbers.
Yeah, getting those javelin throwers is so important, right? People say that you're getting those units for quote-unquote free, right? Obviously, you're going for berries, which is a little bit less of a gathering speed, but the cistern kind of helps you out in that regard. Just having a couple of these javelin throwers means if Beasty did start to make archers, he would have enough javelin throwers to take care of them. Obviously, the Limitane are going to be that defensive for the javelin throwers to take down the archers. And let's not forget, those Limitane, we talked about the Donzos last game. We're seeing a very good spotlight on these unique spearmen. Limitane have that shield wall.
They do indeed. They will still have a couple of Limitane in his own base, and looks like DeMu is doing a nice little push forward. And with the javelin throws, he's going to be able to deny the gold income for the time being from Beasty, at least if he sticks around. Doesn't look like he sticks around, though.
Oh, look at Beasty doing a little loop around. He knows those knights
charge blocked!
That mobility. He got the charge on that Limitane, which is kind of crazy, honestly. Pro Scouts, it looks like they've got a decent amount of carcasses left. You can see how much food per minute Beasty is getting now with those Pro Scouts being in full swing, keeping up, or at least being a little bit ahead, actually, of DeMu's food production. So DeMu's trying to get a little offensive, using those javelin throwers, using those quote-unquote free units to help. Is Beasty going to be able to get enough units to make this count?
Archer number is starting to mess up. We do have the second batch of javelin throws in queue. Oh, this could be dangerous, though. Does he have enough javelin throws out? That is the question here. Looks like Beasty doesn't want to take that fight quite yet. Shield wall obviously very, very strong there as a defensive tool. But something to never forget is while shield wall is active, the spearmen attack much, much slower. So the DPS goes down a lot. Even against knights. It can make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes to show, like, look at the Limitane count to knight count on either side. DeMu's got 20 of these Limitane, and he's getting Iron Undermesh right now. You could beg the question that, like, do you even want to pop shield wall in the first place as Jeanne d'Arc snacks on some nice XP? Remember those spearmen, those Limitane, they're 90 total resources, 80 food, 10 wood. So she's going to get +9 instead of a +8. Might not mean a lot, but if you're killing 20 of them, maybe it means you're level 3 a little quicker.
It does. Every little bit starts adding up. DeMu now getting a couple more javelin throws out. Does already have some villagers on the middle berries, but there's a little raid coming. There's a little raid coming on DeMu's side as Beasty is sending a couple of knights around. Midnight, are they gonna spot it out? I'm not sure if DeMu's noticed it. He has seen it, but has he noticed? He has noticed.
Yeah, they're looking to try to snack on some kind of villagers. Now, those knights are pretty heavy units. They could definitely take out those two spearmen if they decide to turn around, but ends up backing up in the opposite direction. And you're kind of looking at areas like Jeanne d'Arc is trying to do some raiding. I'm not really sure where you can go because the Byzantines, they still have food under their town center. They have a wood line that's relatively safe as well. So maybe some of those berry patches at gold also. But Beasty's gold is absolutely gone. He's got to find out another way to go. He's going to go to that gold mine over there on the eastern side of his base to try to continue with that night production. But every little bit of time that you're slowing down night production means your Limitane are that much better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, neither of them right now is immediately aiming for Castle Age. I think DeMu should probably go for it first, though. Because suddenly he's going to be able to unlock a unit that deals with both the archers and the cavalry. Javelin throwers caught out of position. These are important units right now that you don't want to lose. Able to keep them alive, able to take down the scout. Only loses one of the javelin throws there.
Yeah, those javelin throwers, because again, they're those special units, right? They're the mercenary units. So you can only make a batch of them every so often. If you lose some of those javelin throwers, you're kind of screwed. And especially with Beasty having all of those archers, he's going to need enough. If you could take down a couple javelin throwers every once in a while, all of a sudden that big engagement that you're preparing for isn't as scary.
Another raid on the wood line, be preparing for a quick dive in. Little palisade walls, no Acrotoy defense is coming in though. Beasty going for the surround, it's going to be 2, 3... Only one villager that went down.
That's pretty good. I mean, look at how much Limitane are getting pulled by these knights. And this just shows the mobility. Look at those villagers going down. That's 3 total. Now for Beasty.
I was getting that one too.
Okay. No, we're good. We're good. Look at that. 33 Limitane for DeMu. Now, because with these javelin throwers, we've got another batch going on the way. Look at his resources. Look at both of the resources, Crackety.
Yeah,
they're both going to hit
aiming
Castle
for
Age
it.
at just about the same time.
Yeah. DeMu denying the last couple of deer here by pushing them underneath the outpost. Next to the mill as well. They're still going to have a good amount of food income there. And yeah, Egypt is going to be coming in now. Golden Horn Tower. That's going to be a lot of value coming DeMu's ways. With that Golden Horn Tower, he's going to be getting a lot of free units periodically. Question is Beasty. He's going to be Royal Institute. He's going to go all in. We're not going to see a long game here.
I'm loving this Royal Institute stuff. I mean, from French, Jeanne d'Arc, we're going with full tempo in Castle Age. That's crazy. You usually see Guildhall over and over and over again, and people didn't like the Royal Institute because it was lackluster and it didn't give you a big, that big of a power spike. But it feels like, as far as Jeanne d'Arc's case, I think Byzantines would probably be able to beat Jeanne d'Arc in late game anyway. So Beasty's like, just forget it. I'm just going to try to get my power spike as fast as I can. But with that Golden Horn Tower getting completed from DeMu, Crackety, remember, what's that unit after Javelin Throwers that DeMu can get?
It's the camels, and camels, you're not going to get immediately. You got to wait for the veterans, the upgrade to come in, then you can start producing them. Actually, DeMu, it looks like he's still investing into the Javelin Throwers.
Interesting. I mean, there is a decent amount of archers there, so I can definitely understand it. He might be expecting Beasty to be going with Arbaletrier anyway, but for someone like Jeanne d'Arc and like the French that has their wheelhouse, that thing that the Royal Institute buffs, are the Arbaletrier with the crossbow stirrups and the Royal Bloodlines for the Royal Knights. You make Javelin Throwers and Limitane, you're still in a really good situation.
A raid coming in on two potential sides from Beasty. Looks around the wood line. Finds a wall on the other side as well. DeMu, he's splitting up his military. Has a couple spearmen over here. Yeah, he's doing a good job of splitting up his military and pushing forward with one. Onto one.
Oh, no.
Gonna get her.
You could,
he's running for it.
If you're playing Jeanne d'Arc, that is greedy. Look at, oh my God. The Byzantine Empire is chasing her. Oh my God. You better run, lady. You got to go. She's looking for the next Dry Arabia over. She can book it. You know what? Good for her.
She's running out of there. She is a quick woman, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even did a little turn. Age. Oh, DeMu, he's going to have to be careful, though. All the military is suddenly converging. Oh, this could be dangerous. The spearmen are completely out of position. They're going to get caught out by the archers. Unless he's able to get the right angle going. Looks like he might be able to. Oh.
Wow.
It's such a difficult call to make, though.
I'll tell you what. DeMu really consolidated his front line pretty well. Javelins are targeting Jeanne d'Arc. She is gone. No XP for her throughout this battle. I'm pretty sure Royal Bloodlines was completed.
It is.
By Beasty, and you can see how quickly those Limitane end up going down, but with the Knights providing the front line. You thought Byzantines was going to take this one pretty handedly, but that's a lot of Javelin Throwers going down. DeMu's going to have to rebuild this army, and now Beasty has these Royal Bloodline Knights that can just charge right through the base. And Jeanne d'Arc, oh my crackety, she's back. She's alive.
Oh my God.
She's got a horse.
Yeah. Oh no, the horse. Horse is dangerous. The horse is very dangerous. Oh my God, there's... Okay, such a big army lead now for Beasty, taking that fight, and just that Royal Bloodline on those Knights. They barely took any damage from the spearmen, because remember, they had shield wall active, which means they don't get a lot of help.
Honestly, I don't really think it was worth DeMu taking that fight in the first place. It was just a random fight in the middle of the map. I think it was probably, you do the best you can against Jeanne d'Arc, knowing that she went Royal Institute. You do the best you can to try to stabilize, be defensive, use your defensive structures, your outposts that have mangonels on them as the Byzantine Empire to try to deal with this. Not so much. It was just a straight up, heads up 1v1 fight. And that's exactly what we're going to see right in the middle of the town center.
Bombs being idled out, camels going down. Javelins doing the best they can. John is not a unit that can snipe down easily anymore. And there she goes into the back line. Charge comes in. Rather cleave onto the units. And this might be it. I think this might be it. The economy is completely idled out now.
Yep, you get a nice little whirly do on those javelin throwers. Let's see another one. Do we get another one? No. DeMu is calling it. And John Dark with game number 3 taking that one. Beasty taking the 3-1 against DeMu. I wasn't sure how that one was going to go. I kind of thought that DeMu did pretty good in terms of his army comp, but man, that fight, it just ended up being the nail in the coffin for not only the game, but the series.
Yeah, indeed. That snowball there, taking the fight a little bit out of position. We can just look at the military value lead there at one point. Those knights, they really, really do carry their weight when it comes to the military value lead. Takes the fight, and after that, it just skyrockets up. And from there on out, DeMu just didn't quite have the tools that he needed in order to deal with that late game. Well, not really late game, but that mid-game Jean military. So many knights, and it's not just Castle Age knights. Those are Castle Age knights plus. With the veterancy, with all of the unique upgrades that you get as the French variant civilization and the Royal Bloodlines. It's just too much there. But we're going to take a look at these games that we've had here so far, because there were some crazy games. That villager pull in our first game of the set, man. It looked so brutal with the spawn for DeMu at the beginning. But the move out with the spearman, allowing DeMu to just burn down both outposts there at one point. Able to restabilize, and from there on out, just get back up and win the game from there on out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. If I had picked a game where I thought DeMu was definitely going to lose, it was going to be this one. You know, with Mongols, with that spawn in the front, right? With that tower providing a lot of mayhem. Those mangonels, again, we're going to see, man, they are getting their time in the limelight, aren't they? Getting their rocks off on a lot of those arbalettriers that were in the back, that sacred site creating a little bit of a choke point. DeMu just being all over the place. Those villagers getting scattered all over the place, stoned to smithereens as well, right next to the hill. And DeMu was able to take this one with all of those mangonels going down. Those Castle Age mangonels weren't worth their weight in rocks. And they ended up going down. So DeMu ended up taking this one in pretty good fashion. And honestly, Crackety, I thought this one was going to set the tone.
Yeah, I agree. And to be fair, all the games after that held pretty close. It used to be just like these little tiny things that then tend to snowball into big leads. And to be fair, that's exactly how it should be. That's exactly how it should be in these insanely high-level games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
all right, I'm getting confirmation that we are going to be getting a winner's interview here now with Beasty. Check and see how far along we are there. I'm going to give him a little bit more time to set up, as we're still looking at those replays. Game number 2 then, with the English against the HRE. At one point, the Age Up the Men-at-Arms just flooding with the Burgrave, and the Longbows. That's a big issue with the Longbows as well. 1.12 tiles per second movement speed. You can't effectively kite the HRE, as they're getting bonus movement speed as well.
yeah, we saw that over and over again in that second game, right? Beasty was able to use the mobility of his archers just to kind of run in, making sure if there were longbowmen in a good engagement, you were able to take them out. And then at the very end, obviously with those heavy men-at-arms with 6 ranged armor, those longbowmen doing 6+1, which is 7. Crackety, you might have to check my math, but I think they were only doing 1 damage a pop.
Yeah, +2 pierce armor. There is a case to be made where, okay, against Palace Guards you can still do a great job, as they're lacking a little bit of ranged armor, but against the men-at-arms from the HRE especially, they're just so quick, and they have the ranged armor, like the full armor value. They're able to keep up, they're able to hunt you down, and able to win the game there for Beasty. Man, what an impressive set that we had here, but we still have a lot of sets to go today.
Yep, 2 more is going
2 more.
to be.
Halfway through. It's still a ton of action coming in.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to have the next one. We're not skipping over we are going to have the interview, obviously, with Beasty, but also our next one is going to be Vortex plus B, and I'm sure that you guys are very excited for that one. But I want to hear from the man himself who was able to advance to the next round before we're able to do it. Cal's telling me the interview is ready. Crackety, talk to the man.
All right, let's jump into it. There we go. All right. Congratulations, Beasty. You won. You're through. You're making it into the playoffs. How are you feeling, man?
It was a rough start. The Mongol game. Let's not speak about that one. It was
I'm sorry, Beasty. I'm not hearing you at the moment. We're trying to get that fixed up right now.
all right.
Any kind of like hand signal or gesture would be appreciated.
Hello?
Are we going to do the hand signal? Oh,
There he
there we
is.
go. Now we can hear you. All right. Congratulations,
All right.
Beasty. Once again, we're going to
Thank
repeat
you.
it. How are you feeling,
let's
man?
do that
After
again.
you made it into the playoffs.
The first one was really rough. Like after the first game, I was like, "Oh God, what am I doing? Like, what is going on?" Because I had such a good spawn, or well, he had a bad spawn, and I was just like, "Why am I?" Like during the game, I was just like, "Why am I making archers? Like, what is going on?" And like, every engage I took, I was like, "What am I doing? Why didn't I make a market? Why didn't I start trading?" So I was just like, "Okay, let's just play it on, and then next games, let's take it back and let's slowly." Go game after game. It's just one game. I lost Mongol. It's not a big deal, and it kind of worked out.
Yeah, the first game definitely was a nose scratcher as well. Like it looked really, really promising there at the beginning, and then it all just kind of started falling apart. But throughout the next series, like the next game as well, you had HRE against English. How did you feel when like DeMu started like skirting around your wood line and you weren't able to take the best trades? Did you know, okay, at one point you're going to be able to just outmass him there with units, or what were your thoughts then when you got into that situation?
So, I mean, I think that matchup is very good for HRE. On Cliffside, it's like super scary for about 2 minutes, but if you defeat the first push, you're like fine, you're chilling. But then I never really defeated the first push, so it got very scary. And my wood line, or the main wood line, was forward, which is something you don't want against English specifically. But yeah, I was like, the idle time was all over the place. I wasn't able to produce units, and then when I did, I was like, I could age up, but if he keeps making units, I'll die. So it kind of got pretty rough. He had very, very good micro with longbows, but in the end, I managed to sneak in a couple of scouts in all of that and start pro scouting a little bit. So I got enough food to, push me to be able to kind of defend. And when I was aging up to castle, I was like, do I just go burger so I don't die? Because there was a chance that he was aging up, and if I go burger, it's complete waste. So I was like, I'm just going to go burger so I don't die. And I managed to win that one.
Yeah, those were absolutely some amazing, amazing games. I want to pick your brain a little bit when it comes to the competition that's up there right now that you're going to have to face off against in those next couple, in the playoffs pretty much. You've seen Baltune play today. Did you expect Baltune win 3-0 against Kiljani? There's obviously and win 2 games against Marine Lord. What do you think about the competition? And Louis beating you in the last weekend as well, because there are definitely some hot upcomers there.
Yeah, I mean, I always say this, but it is always true. Like, people are getting better and better each tournament. But I think what's happening, and I discussed this with Marine Lord a bit, since Red Bull, he didn't really play much. I haven't been playing seriously for a while, practicing, and all these guys have been cooking the whole time. So I think not only they caught up, but I think a lot of the players can beat the very top players. And whenever I would do practice, it's like if I haven't played against someone in a while, and they beat me, I'm like, okay, that's not good for me. If I'm losing to quite a few people in practice, that's never a good look. So I think the competition is really good right now. There's there's a lot of good players. The thing is, Kilardi is also very good. So for him to go down 3-0 to Baltune, which he's mostly playing team games and just messing around, playing FFAs, and then shows up, almost beats Marine Lord, now Kilardi. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see. But I do think that we might have some unexpected results in round of 8. I don't think it's going to be a, this guy versus this guy. For sure, it's going to be a win for the favorite and stuff like that. I think we'll have some upsets.
Yeah, it's looking very, very amazing right now, just having all of these odd upcomers just it's looking very good overall for the competitive scene of Age of Empires 4. Thank you so much, Beasty. We're going to be heading into the next one. Best of luck to you in the playoffs. Played amazing
Thank you very
today.
much.
And hope we'll see more of you
Have a good
in
one.
the future.